Welcome to the B-Sides and Beers podcast.
Hello, I'm Johnny Cash.
Welcome to B-Sides and Beers episode 6. Welcome to B-Side.
What's the first one? It's 60. What? 3 episodes?
Second.
64?
Second. Okay.
Oh, I'm still going.
I'm still going. Fuck it. Welcome to B-Sides and Beers episode 64. Tonight we're digging into a truly unique 90s hard rock metal band out of Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, the SMALLS. There we go.
There you go.
Oh, that's what I was going to sing too, man.
Dun-dun-dun-dun.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's vintage, man. Did you get that on the Waste and Tragedy tour?
Yeah,
Oh,
I got that
nice.
at the Waste and Tragedy tour.
Proper concert t-shirt.
I can't remember where they played. Must have been Strathcona Bus Barns or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I can't wait to hear
classic.
more about that. Yeah, let's dive into that in a second. Hey, everybody, if you're liking this, then please share it and please rate it and please comment and please share it around because, again, we are having fun doing this and we want to keep it going. And we can't believe we're already on episode 63. Is that what you said? 64. When I'm 64.
When I'm 64.
There you go. You know what? I'll kick it off today.
Do it.
For the beers. I'm
Do it.
drinking, and to be honest, I can't remember if I've drank this before, but it's from Driftwood Brewing, and I've had that before, definitely. But the original Gravity Haze, I don't know if I've had this
Okay.
before.
Oh,
I haven't had that one, no.
Yeah, it's strong. It's 7%, and it's a description of density. That's what original Gravity is. So, yeah, it's hops are the fruit that perfumes the concoction and drifts us away on a cloud. So I'm gonna give that a go.
Beauty.
Driftwood,
Nice.
Brewing, yeah, 7% on that baby. And I haven't seen this one before, or at least this brewery. This is Nelson Brewing, a Hooligan Pilsner.
Oh, cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've not seen that. That's a great can.
Yeah, it's just got like a motorbike, kind of a badass motorbike on there, with the Nelson Brewing logo on it. So, so it's pretty standard, like 5%, like a kind of a regular Pilsner. But brewing, it's an organic beer, and Nelson just seemed like the natural thing to do. So a classic Pilsner that's bold and built for adventure. So, hadn't seen that brewery before, so repping that one too. So those are my two for
Nice.
today.
Nice.
Who's up next?
Go ahead, Dane.
all right. I just cracked a Palm Sway from Coronado Brewing.
Where's that at?
It's an
Coronado, BC.
I think so.
Oh
I
man,
can't
is there a
even
place
pronounce
called
it.
Coronado, BC? I did not know that, but
I don't know.
probably.
That would
Me
be-
neither.
Is it? I'm just guessing.
Why can't Stay Coastal Island style India Pale Ale? So I was like thinking, oh, this must be Vancouver Island, but I can't seem to find where these guys are from. Women should not drink alcoholic beverages during pregnancy. Don't drive. Don't operate a car. Doesn't say
Thanks,
where they're
Captain
from.
Obvious.
I will get back to you guys on this.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Yeah. It's got a picture of, it looks like it's the mainland. Here we go. Yeah. Coronado, CA. They're out of California. Ooh. I'm outside the format today, boys.
That's okay. You won't be alone.
Yeah. Okay.
Coastal California. Got it.
Yeah. Then I saw this. It's called Haifa Project. Nova Galactus Cold IPA. And I have never heard of these guys before. It has the artist. They've mentioned the artist here, Sean Caramaker, and it's just like this crazy.
Oh yeah.
Rocket ship and
Makeup?
weird.
Lots going on in
Yeah,
that
it's
can.
diamonds and
It's
perfume.
like perfume and lipstick and an alien.
And kooky.
Yeah.
Anyway,
On a purple planet.
Yeah.
yeah. So this is out of Vancouver, Haifa Project Beer Company. Yeah. So I've never heard of them before, so maybe they're new.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna add that to the list. The contact
Yeah.
list on that one. That's cool.
Yeah.
And then we'll see. This might be for later on tonight after the podcast. But I got I'm all about ESBs right now, so I got a brass section from Twin Sails, which I don't think I've ever tried before, but I'm really excited. Oh, it's not. I'm sorry. It's a dry hop saison. That's why I bought it, because it was. It's a 6.2%, so I think pretty alcohol-y for a saison. But
Yeah.
it's summer holidays, boys.
Yeah. Why not?
Absolutely.
Let's do it. They're out of Port Moody.
Nice. Mike, what are you repping today?
Well, I said that you weren't the only one leaving our usual format. I did a bunch of touring around, just trying to find something that I have not had, and it's getting more and more difficult to find anything in single form. I mean, there's a lot of multi-packs, 6-packs, 4-packs, and I don't know if I want to buy a full 4-pack of tall boys. We've talked about this before, of just to have a go at it when you're paying almost $15 for a 4-pack. So
Yeah.
I thought I'd hop into an airplane and fly all the way up to Europe. And the first one I have is a Belgian wheat beer from Hoegaarden.
Hoegaarden, man.
Oh, nice. Whole guard.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've had that. I've only ever had this on tap, so it's interesting having it in a can.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's good. And the other one is we're going Heineken. We're doing a Heineken. It's been a long time, and I think the biggest reason, and I'm going to say big, is the comical size of it. So this is a regular 500, and
Yeah.
this is a 710.
Oh man.
It was hilarious. So it's like
It looks like Andre the Giant and Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
totally exactly. So
And I had
So,
a,
yeah, that's
a
something that-
Heineken. I bought a Heineken. Maybe you were at that New Year's party, Dane, but I bought a Heineken Magnum for New Year's, and it was like a gigantic
Oh, yeah.
beer, and I thought it was the
Yeah.
coolest but the smartest thing until I got like past the first like 10 sips, and then it got warm, and and then I tried to like save it and like put it in ice in the sink, and it was like already
can't go
done.
slow.
No, it was already done. So I was like, that was the dumbest choice. But I showed up with this gigantic beer, and it was just like the greatest, right?
it's the beer king of the party.
Yeah,
Bow
make
to
way,
me.
make way for the Magnum.
Kiss the ring.
Those were like really hard to get a decent pour out of too, from what I remember. It was like all foam.
Oh yeah, it was the worst. It was the worst choice.
Unless
for
you had it in your fridge for like 5 days, just like
perfect conditions.
You had
getting
to
settled.
You had to
Yeah.
drink it out of Das Boot.
Boot.
Just remember, you got to turn it at the end.
That's right.
Oh fuck.
Yeah. So that's where I'm at tonight with these. So
Nice.
yeah.
You know what, man? We just gotta buy like a random selection, and then just here's 2 of mine. Here's 2.
Just
We
divvy
just
'em up.
swap them. You know what I mean? And then
Yeah.
because I'm feeling the same thing. Like I'd love
Okay.
to do like a 4-pack of something, but then I don't want to commit because I don't know. That's why I
Yep.
like tasting them. So, anyways, I think that's
I feel super privileged because my store is it's a whole wall.
Yeah.
And then almost the whole back. Well, I shouldn't say the whole back, but like it's pretty big.
Yeah.
There's the stuff that's chilled. There's at least a couple coolers, and then like I'm sorry, exaggerate, like half a wall. It's a lot.
no, man. I
It's
have
a
one
lot of
cooler
BC beer.
in each one of the liquor stores. It's one cooler. That's it for singles.
Yeah.
That's all I get, and every single
Yeah.
liquor store that I've got. So like, you try to kind of branch out from that, and you see something new. It's like, oh, and there's lots that come out for summer too, right? So that helps. But
Yeah.
but you get
Yeah.
awesome stuff that I have never seen or heard of before. It's a magical land out there because I never see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Very lucky.
Come on, craft brewers, let's do this.
Yeah, like
Get more out.
we want to drink and promote your beer
Yeah.
again.
Let us, please.
Yeah, let us do that for you. We offer that service. Let's talk about the Smalls, boys. Let's talk about the Smalls.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Yeah. This is a great topic, a great band on so many different levels too. And you guys probably found some good connections to other bands that we've already talked about on this show, and even recently too, doing some research on these guys too, right? So
Yeah, definitely.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
cool for it to kind of come full circle, and I mean, it's got some homegrown flavor for us all, and not very many bands from Alberta / Edmonton area really, quote unquote, made it big. And the Smalls is one of those bands that kind of
Got close anyway.
yeah, Western Canada can kind of hang their hats on the Smalls a little bit, but
Yeah.
it's still not a very popular band and not a very big band, right? Like, just never ended up picking up like east of Thunder Bay, right? And nobody
Even though they were touring everywhere over and over
Yeah.
and over again, and they were a very unique project band. I mean, I can't name another band that really sounds like them. I mean, I can hear all the elements of different bands that influence them, but I can't say, oh, there's another band that sounds like them, which is super cool. So
yeah, even to this day,
oh yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, and it feels like the Smalls is like almost like the ultimate menagerie of different genres mixed together in a big melting pot there, right? Like there's lots of jazz, there's lots of fusion, there's world music in there, there's speed metal, there's everything. Like, it's just a little bit of everything rolled into one, and they're complicated songs.
yep.
Yeah.
And having having a singer that sounds like Jim Morrison, and you've got Metallica riffs and mixed with country, mixed with jazz, mixed with
Yeah, man, I think Mike Caldwell is like one of the most underrated
Totally.
vocalists,
Totally.
hands down.
I've never heard the Jim Morrison though comparison.
Yeah, neither have I.
I was more like Lane Staley, but
man. I always heard the Jim Morrison on everything. That's the first thing I listen to, or first thing I hear. And going back to all their old music videos, he kind of, when he was still young and skinny and had the long hair, he had that look. He was dressed like that in the video. He had the Jim Morrison kind of stances and moves, and
it's a good comparison for sure.
Yeah, so-
Yeah.
He's got that high range though,
yes,
and there's so many songs that highlight that, but like he's got a lot of range, and there's a lot of songs that display it quite well too, right? Like, there's so many that it just shows what he can actually do. And when you see him live, he sounds exactly the same. Exactly the same. Like, he's just one talented dude that, I don't know, like, I guess this is it, right? Like, there's something cool about leaving your mark and leaving it out on a high note, but still want more,
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't know how much further this could have gone, and that's what they said too, right? Like,
Yeah. That's the thing.
but
So can I throw this out there? Can we start from the back, the last album,
Yeah.
Back to the front.
yeah,
and work our way back
Sure.
to the beginning, back to the White Album?
let's do it, because we never do it that way.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, I didn't put a lot of time into My Dear Little Angle. I don't know why. I think I was done with them too. It was like, and I have to admit, like, growing up, I remember there were small fans, and then there were small like no one else. You were either a small fan or you weren't.
Right.
Right? You either loved them or you had no idea who they were. And I remember my cousin was into them and introduced them to me, and he was a super fan. He was like, oh yeah, I'm videoing them. I'm working for them. I'm like helping them out. And he would go to every show. He had like the giant like Smalls to each his own poster. Like I just remember the big green poster up in his room.
Awesome.
And I think I wanted to be more of a fan than I actually was.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's albums that I listened to a lot, and there's some that I didn't. And My Dear Little Angle, I never really put a lot of time into. And it's really good.
Oh,
Yes.
so good, man. It's
yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's production wise. Like when we get to this point, you can obviously tell that the production is stepped up quite a few levels.
Massive.
Totally.
But wow, like the arrangements. The first, I mean, My Dear Little Angle, still the very first track still gives me chills as soon as it comes on, and then when he starts singing, I can't even get up that high. I can't even emulate it. It's just like it's so good, right? And it kicks off the album so well. But then it just goes into so many good songs, like even like My Saddle Horses Died with like, it's like spaghetti western style, right? Like, and it's got a lot of that kind of stuff, right? Going on to it. But man, Fistful of Powder, Pin, Tell Us About It.
Yeah.
That's the first song that I learned on the banjo, was Tell Us About It. That's the first song I wanted to learn, that opening riff on Tell Us About It.
Oh, right on.
Awesome.
So
Right on.
but
Feel Like a Woman.
yeah, right, like Natural Woman.
Yeah, natural. Sorry,
Yeah,
natural.
great
Woman,
idea too for a cover, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know, the
And
lyrics.
they always had great choices for cover tunes.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah, no, this is
This album,
front
I
to back
think,
for me, man.
this is Mike front to
Oh,
back. Yeah, this is Mike Caldwell's best album. It showcases his talent the best.
Yeah.
This album.
I agree, and I love the cover. I always have loved that cover too. But yeah, it's a solid offering for the last one that they did. It's kind of like at the peak of what they could do, I think, and it's a pretty high note to go out on.
Totally. And leaving on a 14-track album.
Yeah.
That is so packed with so many different paths.
Yeah, and I you know what? I didn't write this down, and that's not my usual, but I did not write down who produced this album. But I do remember that it was, like, he had produced Guar, he had produced The Tea Party,
Glenn Robinson.
Glenn Robinson,
that's
yeah.
it, yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, and they
Tori
went to
Amos,
Vancouver and
Voivod,
recorded this, and this was, you know, I think this was a big deal for them. So,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, I'd go, if you haven't listened to this album, Dane, I would give it a little bit of time and just throw it on when you're at that meeting on Monday and just let it cook for 45 minutes on your head.
You make me feel.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's great. And yeah, it's weird because for some reason I thought Waste and Tragedy was the last one. I've always had that in my head.
Yeah.
Right.
And yeah, I knew this album existed, My Dear Little Angle, but I just never put time into it.
Yeah.
Did
Yeah.
you guys watch
So,
I guess we need to go even fast forward to that. Did you guys see the documentary?
Right.
No, I wasn't able to track it down.
Okay.
It's on Amazon, right? I was going to
Is
do
it? Okay,
and I
yeah.
just didn't get around
Nicole
to
and I
it.
saw
Yeah.
it in the Garneau. We saw the
wow, awesome. How was it?
premiere of it? I mean, it was good, right? Like, and
Yeah.
Terry was there. He was at the back. Like, he was. Nicole's like, yeah, I remember I hugged Terry at the end of it, and I saw him on the way out the door. But it was good. Like, it was funny because we were like, there's some things that, like, we kind of felt like we didn't want to know. Like, it was a little bit too much
Yeah.
information, and we were like, okay, well, it's kind of cooler before, but then I just found out when I was doing research on this, but they did not see the rough cut or the final cut until the night it premiered. So the band
Oh, wow.
had not seen it at all. So I'm like,
Right.
okay, well, that
Hands.
makes it, that's different, right? Like, that's not like, you know, Metallica's some kind of monster. Let's bicker at each other for
Yeah.
4 hours, you know?
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
but yeah, it was good. It was good because there's lots of old footage, right? Like, and like kind of classic bars and places in Edmonton too that, you know, it was like Dinwiddie Lounge and, like, you know, some different places they played. But yeah, great album. I still love that album. I still will go back to it all the time. Yeah.
Did you guys go to the reunion show? What was it called?
The
Virgin Fest?
Slight Return. Yeah.
Yeah,
I went. Yeah.
No,
in 2014.
Yeah, no, I didn't go. I was too far away, and I wasn't getting on a plane. So,
Yeah. No, Nicole.
but I would have loved
that
to have
too.
gone. That would have been cool.
Yeah.
So you went to the fest? They did 2 festivals, right? And then they did a bunch of shows at Starlight Room.
Yeah. They did some side ones
Which
too,
would
which
have
I
been-
didn't. I don't even know how
Yeah.
you got into those because we never were able to do like. We tried to figure it out, but we couldn't find tickets. But anyways, we did see them at Sonic
Boom.
Sonic
That's
Boom.
what
I was going to say
Fest,
Sonic
yeah.
Fest.
Okay.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was it was an odd lineup. Like I think I told you guys before, it was like Death Cab for Cutie, Fits in the Tantrums. Who else was there? And it was like wedged in these like really. Oh, Jack White was there.
Yeah.
It was like this very strange mix of all these people together. Foster the People were there, like just kind of Sonic bands, right? But
Yeah.
So, anyways, yeah, so they came out after Death Cab for Cutie, so it was just like everybody's just kind of like right, like la la la, and then all of a sudden like the Smalls come out and like Andrew Ference from the Oilers came out and introduced them, and there was probably like I don't know 100 people in the like close to the stage.
No way.
Yeah, there wasn't a
Really?
lot, man, and and it was all people our age. It was just like we just looked around. We're just like, wow.
Smalls rule.
Yeah, exactly. We're just like loving every second of it, right? So, they came out, and I mean, Mike Caldwell fell off a stack of 2x4s and broke his collarbone like 2 weeks before the show. What? So he had like a sling on, and like we found out afterwards that like they were rehearsing every day, and he said that he was like, I think my lungs are at like 50% of like what I can actually do. So he's like, I hope it sounds good. And the other rest of the guys are like, yeah, it sounds great. They're like, don't worry though, like we don't remember how any of these songs go. So just take your time, and we're gonna figure it out, just us, and we'll call you back when we're ready. So he was like, okay, great, we'll do that. So they came back, and he said, Corb is like, I didn't even remember even some full songs on the album. He's like, I didn't even remember the full song. So he's like, we had to really relearn everything. But then he's like, sometimes it would just kick in with muscle memory, and he would just, just do it, and he just roll on it, right? So, but yeah, I mean, and Dane, I gotta ask you too, like the bass sounds that he gets on these albums, like I don't know if I've heard anything like it. Like I don't really know how to describe it either. It kind of it's not rumbling, but it's like high on treble. It's like I don't know.
Yeah, it's like that classic Ampeg.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Most of the videos I've seen and pictures, he's running Ampeg. So
Yeah.
Yeah, he might have like some kind of overdrive on there. I'm not sure, but you get that real dope. It's so distinct. It just pops right through.
And maybe it's up a little
yet
bit more in
it
the mix
holds-
too, right? Like I don't know. It sounds like it's higher in the mix, but
it holds that bass sound, but it's got a lot of like, I would say mid.
yeah, maybe it's mid.
And it really pops through, and that's definitely like an Ampeg sound. Yeah, awesome. Just
So it's a good.
and they've always been a band where one of those bands where it's not like the guitar and the bass are this homogenous thing.
No.
Like the bass has always sort of had its place, and then Doug's guitar is just like riffing through.
Yeah,
But,
but sometimes he's
yeah.
making noise, right? Like sometimes Doug's just making noise on the guitar, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like and Corb's rolling underneath it, doing some kind of unbelievable bass lick, right? Like it's just.
Oh man, I think on the White Album, I think he's even slapping at some point.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Oh, it's
And yeah, well, it fits perfect too with the his,
Yeah.
his Gibson V and his Marshall JCM 800. I mean, that's a lot of mids and cutting, right? So
he loves the
Yeah.
flying V. He's every time I've seen them, he's got the flying V.
yeah,
His guitars are so dirty.
because he uses them.
They're so dirty.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's on purpose. I'm guessing, but
yeah. Everything's all rusted. I've seen a bunch of close-up pictures of it too, and it's all just rusted, just shit. And it's pretty
Yeah, like
funny.
he just leaves it in a barn somewhere, or like
doesn't have a guitar tech, and
he doesn't have a guitar.
don't care.
Yeah.
okay, cool. Let's back her up then. The Waste and Tragedy.
'Kay.
Yeah,
Yeah, Waste and Tragedy.
I've spent this is probably the album I've spent the most time with out of all of
Yep.
them.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
this is again front to back, like back again. It's just it's so good, man. Everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's really nothing on here that I don't like. Like even Waste and Tragedy, with the like horns at the end and stuff. I just love how that kicks in and then they just kicks back into the boom 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 and back into like the horse ride music, right? But
Yeah.
Take It From Mariah, man. I mean, there's a good example of Corpse bass on that, right? Like
yeah.
Yeah.
Pity the Man with
Pity the
Fast
Man
Right
with the
Hands,
right-
another great,
Yep. So good.
yeah, another great bass
Yeah.
song too.
What's the first song? I think that just like like
Bang.
sets.
Yeah.
And I don't know what you call that. Like they were really good at those weird sort of like putting the emphasis on the second
Yeah.
beat kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then it just goes into this like fiery fast, like it's gonna be fast.
Yeah.
And, like
Yeah.
showcasing like Mike's it's almost like he can do like an auctioneer.
Yes. Yeah.
He does that quite a bit on the White Album.
Yep.
But yeah, this album is totally metal.
Yeah.
Waste and Tragedy is that's their like it sounds, I don't want to say fuller, but it's just like it sounds like more metal.
Well, it
It's
is
just
fuller because the
fuzzier,
production.
bigger.
It is
For me,
because
yeah.
the recording, the production, man. They went from one album being super basic, stripped down, their first one, to
Yeah.
you come up with the second one. There's a little more production to it and a little money thrown towards it, and then they had to re-release the first one, like remaster it just to make it work again. And then you come into the studio for this, it takes it next level.
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, not completely different, but it is
Yeah,
next level.
sonically
yeah.
next level. Yeah.
Yeah.
And nobody sounds
Not my
like this.
favorite, but
Nobody's, this is
No.
95,
No, not at
right?
all.
Like nobody is doing this
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. And I think for me, this was like the peak of the Smalls as far as like, because I think when they started touring with Waste and Tragedy, like they were gone. Like they were all over the place. And it was really hard to see a Smalls show. And then the same thing for My Little Angle. But for me, this was like, this seemed like, as far as Edmonton was concerned, like where I was able to actually watch a Smalls show. This seemed like the peak for me.
Bus Barns, Strathcona Bus Barns, you think?
I'm pretty sure it was Bus Barns because it wasn't. Yeah, I'm trying to think where else would the Smalls play
Would you see
at
him
that
at Dinwoody?
time. Never saw him at Dinwoody. Did they? They must have played
I
Dinwoody.
think so.
Yeah. And I know like whatever Starlight was before it was Starlight. No, sorry.
Rev?
The bar in White, it was called Rebar at one point,
Rebar.
and then something else. But before that, it was called the Bronx, and I know they played there a lot.
The Bronx, yes.
The Bronx.
That's probably where it was, man. If it wasn't because I know they played at Strathcona Bus Barns too, but it could have been the Bronx. They played there all the time.
Yeah, they played there all the time. But no, I'm pretty sure because I remember where I parked the truck, and like I ran into my cousin and we like smoked some hash in the back or something like that. But there wasn't any parking around the Bronx, so it must have been Strathcona Bus Barns. Yeah. And it was a pretty big gig because I remember there was a few people from school who were there, and like I ran into people. It was just like everyone was there.
There,
And it was a pretty.
It was on White though, right?
I thought it was
I'm pretty sure
downtown.
because I don't remember
Because I
going.
I don't know why I always thought the
Downtown
Bronx was
or-
downtown. I don't know.
remember
Yeah.
missing a show they played at the Polish Hall. That's the one that I missed.
Holy shit, really?
That's the one I wanted to go to.
Oh, wow.
That would have been good too. But yeah, I only saw them. I didn't see them back then. Waste and Tragedy. I saw them on the 99. Like I saw them
Yeah.
in that one, and then on the reunion.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Nicole saw
So
them
this-
too. Like she saw them in like Friar Tuck's in
Oh, really?
in Sherwood Park.
Oh, no
Yeah.
way. Yeah.
And I was like, well, how come we don't
Wow.
have like ticket stubs to any of this? And she's like, that's because it was like, $10 at the door, and you just paid the guy that right
Yeah.
and then you just
Yeah.
get in. Like there's no ticket stubs.
Yeah, I remember I would get tickets at Southside Sound or whatever. I probably do have the ticket stub somewhere.
Be rad.
The one that I saw with Grimskunk anyway.
Oh yeah, Grimskunk. And that's funny, man. I sent you Grimskunk there like probably 6 months ago because I totally forgot about them. And then
Yeah.
I saw that they toured with Grimskunk, and I was like, oh, that's
Oh, man. And to be honest with you, I think Grimskunk was definitely the more energetic band that night.
is that right?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if the boys from the Smalls were just a little tired or whatever.
They don't.
It was still a great show.
They didn't-
They don't really
no.
like. They stand there. They kind of stand there.
Yeah, he's known. Mike
It's-
Caldwell's known for not having any banter with the crowd at all. Like it's just
Yeah.
next song, next song, next
Yeah.
song. Right? So-
Yeah. I remember it was just like the crowd was insane because it was a bigger gig.
Yeah.
There was like a circle pit. It was just like everyone. It just seemed like everyone was there, and it was like an insane show. And yeah, Grimskunk was really good. I had never heard them before, and I'd never seen a guy on the organ. I think he plays through a Hammond and a Leslie, but he was at the front of the stage like a lead singer, but he was playing the organ, and the bass player and the guitar player were behind him. And I mean, the band was super tight and just like really different, kind of like almost organ focused, not ska, but some kind of weird mixture of ska and punk rock and metal and
It's a little bit of
Yeah.
everything. If you go back to that album,
bit of
like that
everything.
'95 album, the self-titled Grimskunk album,
yeah,
it's
Dun, 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 dun.
It's
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
It's good. It's. I don't know about the rest of them because I haven't really dug deep into Grimskunk. They got a ton of albums, man. Like they're still going.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not 2018, but that's a lot. They,
2018 is impressive.
yeah, considering the first one was 1994, and probably the majority of
Yeah.
these listeners have never heard of Grimskunk. So
So they were just getting started, I guess. That this gig that we're talking
oh
about.
yeah.
Yeah. So this was 95. So
Yeah, I think it was just an EP in '94, so that was their first one. But
yeah.
there you go. That's 20,000 monthly listeners for Grimskunk, but somebody's still listening.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and there you go. The Smalls, 4,312 monthly listeners. Right? Like it feels like there's
That's
something wrong with
Weird. It's just bizarre, man.
It is super bizarre. Sorry to jump around, but when the reunion tour happened in 2014, I was overseas and I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this is like the poles of the earth have just shifted and
Yep.
they're fucking back and like this must be the biggest thing ever.
Yeah.
I thought like
It's their hell freezes
Edmonton
over
was going to
tour.
embrace this and it was going to be
It didn't hit
But-
as hard as I think maybe it was going to, but like, yeah, like 150 people there, man. And like, it was great. I mean,
I can't believe
yeah,
that.
we were
I'm-
kind of floored
yeah, I
too,
mean-
right? And I mean,
yeah.
you know, dudes passing around greasy joints and, you know,
Yeah.
it was great. It was a lot
Yeah.
of fun, right? And they sounded good. You know, like they had a couple mess
Yeah.
ups that you could tell, but they still
Yeah.
sounded good. And I mean, that was probably maybe one of the biggest, you know, stages and sound systems they maybe ever played on. You know,
Right.
like so. I mean, they were good. They were good. It was nice to see them again. It was neat to see them all together on stage again. But yeah, it's sad that there's only 4,300 people that listen to this monthly because
Well, it's like you said though. I mean, it's either you were a huge Smalls fan, or you had no idea who they were?
Yeah.
Like other than videos, whatever they had on Much Music, and seeing people around school with a Smalls hoodie or a Smalls T-shirt, I didn't know who they were for the longest time.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
you guys have probably heard of Alan Cross. I'm sure that you have. And I mean,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that guy.
you know that guy. And I emailed him and I asked him, I said, dude, have you ever heard of the Smalls? Have you ever done an episode on the Smalls? And even
you should
Alan
totally do.
Cross,
Yeah.
a music historian who, he had never heard of the Smalls. I stumped Alan Cross with the Smalls.
And they've played
Wow.
everywhere. There's no way they couldn't have played Toronto.
Well, like I
Not a
said,
chance.
like
No way. Yeah.
Not a
that's what
chance.
I read there, that they did not reach farther than Thunder Bay. And I don't know my geography well enough. Is Toronto east of Thunder Bay? Probably. So I don't think that if you don't make it past that, you don't make it.
There you go, kids.
Yeah.
Let's see. I want to look now. I got to look at a map of Ontario as I'm talking to everybody on this.
All right. I've got a
Geography
theory though.
lesson.
I have a theory. When you watch some of the interviews, and especially like, I love Core Blunt.
Mm-hmm.
He's got some great music.
Yep.
His other, Core Blunt, his roots country outfit is awesome.
And the Hurtin' Albertans.
He's a weird dude, and the rest of some of the other guys are even weirder.
Yeah, man.
They're just like real small. It's almost like they're playing a character, but I don't think they are. But it's just real small town Alberta.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're trying to promote a band and you got some guy who's staring at his shoes, going like, "Yeah, I think we're going to be a good fit for this show of yours," and maybe is that a part of it?
But
They're not.
But they had
sound
videos on Much
massive
Music, man.
to me, but
They had
What's
videos.
that?
They had videos on regular rotation on Much Music.
I know
When Can Rock became a thing and it exploded, they were on all the damn time.
it was perfect.
so
It
there's
should have
no
been
way
perfect.
anyone could have missed it if at that time that's where we got our music.
Well, then there you go. My theory goes out the window. First of all, Thunder Bay is west of Toronto, so that makes sense. But if you're getting played on Much
Yeah.
Music, then you're getting played in Toronto. So
Yeah.
there goes that theory, right?
All the damn time. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Just
Like,
bizarre.
why does it not? Why did it not catch on? Like, why did this not happen then? Maybe because, like I said, nobody else was doing this at this time, and nobody cared, or what?
I'll throw something else at you which doesn't make any sense. Their merch was huge.
Yeah.
They were pulling in something like, and this could be completely wrong, but I heard it was like 6 figures a year on their merch alone.
Wow.
So, I mean, they were a great band.
Yep.
They had this crazy mystique about them. Their merch was like it was just crazy. Like, I put on the shirt today.
Yep.
Kira's like, why is the logo over, like, covering your dick? Like, that's not right.
Yeah.
I'm like, because it's small, because they're the small.
Yeah. Come on.
And it was just so cool the way that they had things, hoodies, stickers, posters. I saw them everywhere. But again, it just didn't catch. It was just like,
It was funny.
It never made regular radio, I guess.
Yeah, but
But Much Music.
maybe.
But Much Music. So anyway, sorry.
but they're on Much.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just like,
and regular rotation. It's not like you played it a few
Yeah.
times and nobody cared, and then it was gone. Like, you got a good
Yeah.
response from it, obviously, so you played it again, right? But,
Yeah.
but going back to those stickers, man, I just a shout out to my wife who did not want to join us on this show tonight, but
Boo.
okay. I don't blame her.
yeah. But she was like, and I mean, that's kind of, the Smalls is a band that kind of brought us together too, because I remember the first time that I met her, she had a water bottle and she had a Smalls sticker on the water bottle. And I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
you like the Smalls? Like, nobody likes the Smalls. I'm like, that's pretty cool. That was like,
Check.
yeah, like, all right. What else you got on this water bottle, right? Like,
Yeah.
Was it an Nalgene?
yes, it was. It was a pink Nalgene
Oh,
bottle,
yeah.
man. Like the big,
Yeah.
you know the ones. You know the ones.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. Yeah. So, yeah, it was everywhere. That logo was everywhere, right? So they had it going
Yeah.
on with the merch. They had regular
was
rotation
so iconic.
in Much Music. So, like, what why not? Like, what? All these other can rock bands made it. At least they have a small bit of fame. Like, there's so many junky ones that had at least one hit. You know?
Come on, Serial Joe.
Serial Joe.
They got bigger than the Smalls, and they had 2 songs.
Thank you. How many listeners has Serial Joe? If they have more than 4,000, I'm eating my hat.
I can't believe the Smalls only have 4,000 listeners.
I gotta eat my hat, man. 9,937 monthly listeners to Serial Joe.
Serial Joe. What is going on with this world?
4,000 for the Smalls. So
Wow.
there you
That's
go.
sad.
And you know what fans also like? If you like Serial Joe, fans also like Edwin.
Of course they do.
Oh, yeah, that dude. Yeah, right.
Edwin.
Yeah.
Edwin, yeah.
That guy that left that awesome band that...
Now he lives in his mom's basement. He bummed a smoke off me.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Or was it the other way around? No, he did. I had beaties, and he bummed a beatie off me.
Yeah. When we went and saw him in the bar there
Yeah.
in the year 2000.
Wow.
In the year 2000. I don't know. I think it's because they're super humble dudes. I mean, Corby made it work.
Yeah.
How many monthly listeners does he have?
Oh,
I bet you
lots.
it's
Yeah, I bet you
in
he's
the
got-
5 figures at least.
Way more than probably any of that put
Yeah.
together. Yeah, 601,000.
Way more than Serial Joe.
601,000. And he was just the bass player. He was good,
Yeah.
but bass player from like a band that wasn't that well received.
No, and
that's-
And
yeah,
he's
that's
Canadian royalty.
That's the transition, though, because he goes from a speed hard rock metal band
Jazz
to
yeah.
jazz fusion to whatever to I'm a country boy.
Roots country.
And you
Yeah.
look at Roots country, and that's the only demographic that still buys CDs. It's nuts. They're the only one. They go out and they buy the
There's at
shit
least
and they give them the
600,000
money.
people streaming
I don't.
his music.
the
in
other
one place.
600,000 are buying discs.
Yep.
They're so dumb. They still buy CDs, man.
Corblund
Yeah.
in that documentary, he said when they asked him like, how can you go from playing in a speed metal band to playing in honky tonk, whatever you want to call it, country music? He said it's like playing hockey and playing basketball. That's what he said. It's like
Nuts.
you can still play both, but they're totally different sports. So, and
Yeah.
he's a rancher, like he's a real cowboy, right? Like
Yeah.
he lives in Lethbridge, like he rides horses. He's a
Oh yeah, he puts out ranty videos.
yeah, like, and he's all
too.
about he's
Yeah.
promoting and protesting against agricultural things and stuff. So like
Yeah.
he's for
Oh, yeah.
real,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah,
yeah,
he like shoots him from his tool shed.
yeah,
it's crazy.
yeah, right. Like, and yeah, he's hanging out with Ian Tyson, So there's another like Canadian country royalty. So when you can get on that guy's good side, then
Yeah. But he writes good songs. Corby writes great
does.
songs. They're catchy as fuck. I'm sure he's won some CMAs.
yeah, he has. So I mean,
Yeah, he's really good, really talented.
yeah, and I mean, has made a career out of music, for being small enough but big enough. Like
Right.
and that's kind of really that's awesome. I think like that would be the ultimate, wouldn't it?
Totally.
Yeah,
I think so. To be able to transition like that, and especially once you get older, I mean, the reunion thing looks really good, but at the same time, I get it. They're never going to play again.
Yeah.
They may, but
Yeah.
it's probably not something you want to be doing in your 50s.
No. And especially with that following of 4,000, whatever.
Yeah, it's a
unfortunate, man.
hard-
It's nuts.
Yeah, it's a hard hobby to keep up.
Yeah.
But, singing about whiskey and beer and getting your truck stuck, I mean, more people can identify with that.
Yeah.
Down by
And,
the lake. Sitting in my truck by the lake.
Man, have you given Corblund a solid listen?
I'm I've attempted a couple songs, and
And
none of
no?
it is bad. It's just not me. So
It's just not you. Fair enough.
none
Not
of it's
going to push
bad.
it
I
on
mean,
you.
the songwriting is solid, and he's got the package. So, but
Yeah.
like I said, it's just
I
not
don't
me.
think he would be as successful without the Smalls, though, because he's got, again, that mystique that, like, oh, he came from that underground punk
I
band
think so, dude. I mean,
that was everywhere, and now he's doing country. It's a good story.
if you went to a Hurtin' Albertans show and you talked to
Yeah.
everyone in the crowd and asked them if they know the Smalls, I guarantee you no one would know.
I don't know about that. There's a lot of people who really respect Corby,
Yeah.
and will go to his shows, and I'm sure the numbers are not like it's probably 2 out of 10,
Yeah.
something like that. But those two people will be like, oh my god,
Yeah.
I love Corby.
Yeah.
I love everything he does. He's amazing. I'm super proud of him, and I think the people who do know who he is are super fucking proud of him.
Yeah. But are you
and
a
he's-
hockey
he's
fan
not
or
a
are you
pretentious-
basketball fan? That's the thing. I mean, they're like
Yeah,
you said, it's two
I
sides
mean,
of the
like-
coin, right? So
Yeah, there's a lot of people that watch basketball and hockey.
Yeah, and I like, and it's funny too. I was gonna mention this because I had seen this before, even before I was doing research on this. But like, Corblon Band came out with their first album in '95.
I didn't know
yeah,
that.
the same year that Tragedy came out. So I'm like, okay, well, is there a little bit of, and then I'm like, okay, well, then he came out with his second album in 1999, the same year that
yeah,
My Dear Little Angel came out.
yeah.
He just snuck back in the studio after everyone was
And
done.
then just kept going 2002 2005
Yeah.
and here we go, right? Like, just keep it rolling.
This is
So-
paid for already. Studio time's paid for. I might as well do my country album.
exactly. See you guys later.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
You guys going home? All right, I'm just gonna, I gotta take a poop. Blah.
Forgot my coat
Just
in the
leave the keys
bag.
with me.
Yeah,
Forgot my
gonna
cup.
have
in
a
the
whiskey
back.
and practice a little bit.
Yeah, but I mean, you can't deny the country influence on the Smalls.
Oh,
though.
yeah, there's tons. Yeah,
yeah,
there's lots.
yeah, and that's what again, that's one of those things that makes it so unique. You're just like, you think you're listening to speed metal, but then you're like, oh,
I need a rawhide thong the Titan when it goes.
yeah.
Yeah.
My saddle horse is. I mean, yeah, it's there. It's super
Yeah. It's heavily
a big
influenced.
part of the
No
sound.
question. Yeah, for sure. And you know what? Like, for Corb, I think my favorite Corb album, like, if you wanted to kind of jump right into, would be Cabin Fever. 2012 Cabin Fever. Getting Down on the Mountain, Dig Grave Digger, Bible on the Dash. All those songs are like kind of.
I don't think I've heard.
Yeah, check
heard
that album
any
out.
of that.
2012. It's a pretty
Yeah.
good one. And there's don't get me wrong, not every single one's a banger on there, but it's good. It's a good start to the whole thing. So
Right on.
let's go back to Each His Own.
To Each His Own. What an awesome name for an album. Let's just start with that.
I still use that, man. I still, when I say that
Yeah.
phrase, I still say it that way.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's poetry.
totally.
Yeah.
Super creative.
Yeah, and too, in that documentary, they talked about how they got the name, right? They talked about the big corporations, and the Corb is like, well, he's like, if they're the bigs, he's like, then I guess we're the smalls.
Yeah. That's
All right.
great, man.
Yeah, yeah. So, but this album is another front to back for me.
Totally.
Really?
Oh yeah, man.
Okay.
The first two albums were the only ones that I ever gave really any time to until, I don't know, maybe 5-6 years ago. I got into the last two, but it was always these.
Yeah, I mean, Payload is right off the bat. As soon as
Halo,
you're saying that,
Warpath,
right?
it just wow.
man.
Yeah.
It's so different. It's like, yeah.
And it's pretty raw sounding again in this album, right? Like, it's very,
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know how to describe it, basement sounding.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, on the Warpath, another great bass line, like, yeah. And vocal performance on this too. And more noise from Doug, like, just, yeah. I'm going song by song on these, but it's a good album.
Yeah. Well, Doug's always had an interesting tone too, because it's always been very buzzsaw kind of cutting.
Yeah.
Like it never sounded to me like a JCM 800 and Flying V. It was like he was running through a metal zone or what's
Pedal, yeah.
yeah. So like just very chainsaw kind of a deal, and yeah, but it fits in the mix, and it's very unique.
Going back to
Definitely.
Waste and Tragedy, like Uranus Explodes is a great, like that opening part, like where it's just guitar, like the digga 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 digga. It just does that for like ever, and then it comes in with like ba-do-dum bum bum. Don't, you know, but he's still going that digga 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 digga. It's like it's so different. It's such a different sound too, right? But
Is it
totally.
Uranus
I
or
think-
is it Uranus?
well, I always say Uranus
Uranus.
Explodes. That's the way it should be.
You know what I learned yesterday? It's not tinnitus. It's tinnitus.
Tinnitus.
It's tinnitus.
okay.
Tinnitus.
I guess I got tinnitus.
Anyway, I think Waste and Tragedy that they started layering guitars where like the White Album and To Each His Own. It sounds like it's done in one take. He's just like,
Yep.
all right, I'm gonna turn it up. Who cares where the mic is? I'm just gonna fucking rip through it.
Yep.
That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah.
But it's honest. It comes by honestly.
Totally.
That's for sure.
Totally.
Yeah. And again, this is 92, right? So
Yeah. This is
framing that in what else is going on in 92, and you think about Payload in 92, nobody sounds like that.
which was a great. I think that was one of the. I'm trying to think if there was any other. Like the first video I saw in Much Music must have been Payload.
That's the
that
one I
was
saw.
that one was on heavy rotation.
Yeah.
And it was a great song.
So good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what got me in there. Okay, and then going back, I mean, to the first album.
Yeah.
I listened to this album a shit ton.
Yeah.
I listened to this album all the time.
Yeah, man.
There was a period of maybe a year and a half where it was just on all the time.
Every
I loved
song
it.
this is still my favorite album.
On cassette, though, right?
it's-
When you got Driving Through Detox and Middle of the Road and dun 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 dun
Yeah.
and
Ta-da.
like it's all
Hello,
good.
I'm Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh my God.
Yep.
Did you have it on cassette?
No, this was probably one of the first CDs I bought. No, I lie. I had lots of CDs, but I bought this on CD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I found out today, man, that I did not know that Middle of the Road is a cover tune. I found
What?
that. Yeah.
Really?
How did you
know?
not know that?
Commodores, man. Not the Commodores. The
Pretenders.
Yeah.
Pretenders.
How did you not know that?
I did.
Come on, man.
My parents were big Pretenders fans for some
never
reason.
listened
They
to
would
Pretenders.
like blast the
Knew
Pretenders.
the original before this, and yeah.
It's a good. I listened to it today. It's a good track.
great
I
tune.
got nothing against the
Yeah.
Pretenders. I got nothing against Chrissy Hine, but I never listened.
They
to
got
it.
a movie
Do they?
or something. Yeah, there's a movie. They're in it.
Is there?
Yeah.
Didn't know
I
that.
don't know. Yeah, like I said, my parents were big fans. It's weird.
It's a great cover though. I mean,
Yeah.
it's an excellent.
Oh, that's an awesome cover. And you know what I love about this album? There's mistakes everywhere.
Yep. It's raw.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, we have how much money you got in your pocket? Okay, we got $500 between us. Oh, let's go into the studio and let's just do what we can. And
Totally. And I think I remember reading this like as a teenager. They recorded in Leduc, I think,
Yeah,
or
sounds about right.
It was, yeah. And it was
Canmore.
for the sum of $700, and it sounds like it was done in 3 nights.
Yep.
Like,
But works
It's
just
just-
so well.
but it's
Yeah.
it's like Bleach, man.
I mean, it's that same sort of raw vibe to it. Where you're like,
$500 in 2 days and
Yeah.
done. A weekend
Yeah.
and you're good. Here's your album, and it's still great today.
yeah, but there's something there, and like Doug is super fast on this album. That's what I remember.
Yep.
This is one of the first times I remember listening to like really fast music.
Yeah.
And with Mike's vocals, like just as fast, like they were like meshed together. You didn't really hear a lot of Corby in there.
Yeah.
And then Terry's like, of course, just like
He's solid,
doing
man.
the
He's solid
fast-
through all these albums.
He's solid.
You know, like
Yeah.
he adds some more double basses. The Waste of Tragedy and My Dear Little Angel come in. He adds more into it.
Yeah.
Because I think maybe
Yeah.
he like could afford a double bass pedal. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe that's what it was. But
Yeah.
he's a great drummer. I think he's does exactly what he needs to do, and for the crazy arrangements and the crazy things that go on in this, he does exactly what needs to happen in each one of those situations. You know what I mean? Like it's tough because it could be very cheesy based on the drumming. It could be one way or the other with this music, right? Like it could be like, okay, that's lame, or the way he does it.
So Flip, I wanted to ask you, do you think this was like, how do you put together strange arrangements like that as a drummer? Is it like a vibe, or are you like, okay, this is going to be 16/7?
You know what, man? I think
and it's
I
gonna
think they
be-
figured it out. I think Doug and Corb figured it out, and I think Terry was just along for the ride, because I think that they just did those things, and he just kind of fell into place because, you know, and maybe some of those, like, and they're big on that too. You talked about like them playing on the offbeat. They're also big on like breaking it down, and they'll do halftime all the time, right? They'll that's a lots. They love
I need
doing
a
that,
shirt
right?
that says that halftime all the time.
But you know what I mean, right? And you and I love that too. I love when you drop it down to like halftime, right? It's just they do that a lot, and it works. But again, that's Terry. You know, he's a different kind of cat.
Yeah.
But you know what? On this album, my favorite song on this album is "Controlling Melanie."
That's a really good tune.
Oh, it's so
the
good.
last track on it too. I mean, it's a good way to let it, end it.
Yeah, and it's
How does it go
It's
again?
got that bass, like it starts a no 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 no, and then Doug comes in do 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 do.
So good.
Yeah. It's the last track on the album, but again, it's they've got a thing about last tracks on the album that usually the last track on the album is like forgettable.
They don't let you down.
Yeah, it's forgettable on most albums, right?
Yeah,
but
not this. Yeah.
it's almost like they saved one for the very end. It's awesome. And this is another one. But this one sounds like they didn't record it in the basement, though. Like the Controlling Melody
this
sounds
was-
like they actually like went into a real studio and did something.
Well, that's the thing with this, because like I said, this was technically their first album.
Yeah.
So they released it, and it was really shitty quality. So they ended up putting out To Each His Own, and then they re-released their first album, remixed, remastered in a different studio, and they added 3 tracks, I think it was,
Yeah.
from the original. So
And it's funny because even on Spotify it says this album came out in '93.
yeah, so that was the re-release, quote unquote. So
Interesting.
yeah,
Well, I know they had that whole thing going on with like Cargo Records, and I remember even Cargo Records as a kid too. They were like one of the first ones that brought in like any of the Sub Pop stuff. Like they were one of the first ones, right? And then and I remember seeing Cargo on the Smalls, and I was like, oh, that's cool. Like Cargo Records. I remember seeing that, and then I read that they had a whole bunch of trouble with Cargo, and like they went under and kind of left him hanging.
Well, they ended up the original owners sold it to another group that had no previous music industry, knowledge.
What a different
to, and then
time,
it just
hey?
went down. So
Yeah, when you're dependent on some like weird record company with God knows what kind of experience, and they're handling your physical product
that you
with a promise to distribute and promote.
And you've already signed off the rights to it in most
You
cases.
sign away your art, and it's just like to me, it just sounds so archaic to what's happening. I mean, a lot of people talk about like Spotify only like shelling out pennies per stream, but like, it's so different now when you think about it.
Very. Yeah, there's
Like labor intensive, and these guys that were touring, Like it must have been, and I get it. Like I understand why they folded it in 1999. I think everyone who was somewhat of a fan was just like, yeah, they got it. They got to feed families, and they got to figure it out because it ain't happening.
Yeah.
And it's like it's weird now. It's like, oh, well, you want to get big?
Yeah.
Like you're not like a SoundCloud whatever, or like there's so many different avenues
Yeah.
to get your art out there. But
And it makes you wonder if that's maybe a reason why they got hung up on quote unquote making it big, right? Because maybe all of the BS that happened with Cargo and them, because then they had a new record company for My Dear Little Angle, and then maybe that wasn't the same. Maybe that's what stifled it, right? Like maybe that's what stopped it and put it all down too, because it still is one of those kind of mysteries that they never caught on more than they should have, I guess.
Majors never touched them, and that was the big thing at the time. I mean, if they could have got in with any of the majors, then they it would have shot it to next level. But
it just feels like you said, like Serial Joe's catching on to this like Can Rock thing in '99. Like, how come the Smalls can't get onto that? How come they're not playing Edge Fest and like these Canadian festivals? It just feels like, and maybe they didn't want to, but it feels like they did too, because they were touring, they were selling.
You always want to. I don't care what anyone says.
40,000 CDs and cassettes.
Well,
by themselves. Insane. That's a ton.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think they sold. You can probably quadruple that for merch.
Yeah, maybe that's the only thing that got them through those years.
I think so, and unfortunately, I think so. I'm trying to find here something online as far as like what it was, but I remember reading an article when they were touring like the States, and it was like they're pulling in 6 figures a year on merch.
It's nuts.
And that's what's allowing them to keep things alive. But when it doesn't get past that, and you get to an age that
They just want the
maybe it's
sticker.
time
They
to do
don't want
something
They
else.
don't want the CD.
Yep.
They want the Run DMC shirt, but they don't want to listen to Run DMC.
The Nirvana clothing line, that new clothing brand Nirvana, or
Yeah. And you know what's crazy? Like the stuff that I was reading was like there was a lot of riots that happened at their shows.
Heard that.
And it wasn't like it wasn't their fault. It was just the fact that like the fans were so rabid.
Yeah.
That's another thing that doesn't make any sense, right?
Yeah.
And like the shows were nutto.
Great.
Like you would go to like, whatever at Dinwoody or Urban Lounge, and sometimes you get bumped around, and I was going to shows when people were doing the stave diving and the surfing and the whole pit.
Yep.
But like a small, that was the first time I've ever seen a circle pit. I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Crazy.
I'm going to try this. I'm going to run around in a circle with a bunch of people. This looks crazy.
Yeah.
It was a different level. It was people who were, they were there to just celebrate, whatever you wanted to call it, punk rock, hardcore. It was just underground music. When I was going to those shows,
Right.
That's what I call it. It's like underground.
Yeah.
But
Maybe this is like a thing of a bigger issue too. Like, and I had mentioned that earlier about like nobody really making it big from Edmonton and area. Like,
No, I mean even SNFU, they were everywhere.
Yeah.
But they're they never got to be, they were big enough in the punk scene starting in early 80s, 81 I think, but even them, I mean 4 plus albums, and it's they're not a huge name.
They handed the torch to the Smalls as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
I mean they were like the first sort of resurgence, or the first of the punk rock bands that kind of emerged from Edmonton, and the Smalls just ran with it. And like it's really strange because for whatever reason I think the Smalls were just too humble. Their name is called the Smalls. Yeah.
but I think it was like
it's just
a kind of an FU to the.
Oh, totally.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
But maybe they were like, Mike and I, we joke about the Rage Against the Machine, selling $400 tickets, and it's like, this doesn't really fit with what you're doing here, But like, the Smalls kind of does, It's like, okay, well maybe that's exactly the way you need to do it, like. And there's a small pocket of people that get to listen to you and get to experience what you do. But the rest of you that don't know, you're never going to know because we don't want to... I don't know. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
But isn't that the whole goal of starting a band is to get your art out there?
You want to be known,
right?
So,
like, is that
and
not why you're
anytime
doing
that I hear of a band saying, "Oh, I don't want to sign to a major label," or "I don't want to be pigeonholed to whatever," it's like, well, you want to be a musician and you want to pay your bills.
Yeah, totally. Yes, absolutely.
Sure, you don't want to be.
And we talked about this
massive
before,
name, but
yeah. On the Rancid episode, we talked about this before. Like, who cares if they sign with a major label? They got to fucking feed their families. Yep. They got to pay the bills. Yep. But okay, maybe there's certain members of the band dragging their feet because they're like, I get this. Mm. This is not really, my thing I want to do forever, but I got this other thing in my back pocket, and I'm making a lot of connections, and maybe one day I'll do something a little bit different. So I don't know. I hate to like throw out assumptions. I hate that. Right. But this is just my silly dreams after 3 beers. Maybe there is some people dragging their feet on it.
Yeah, it's a possibility.
Like, I'd rather be singing about stuff.
Bibles on the dash and
Bibles.
family reunions.
Yeah.
Yep. My truck down by the lake.
Yeah.
Yeah, truck by the lake. So who knows? I mean, I think the Smalls were exactly what they were.
Yep.
Yeah.
And if you were fortunate enough to experience that, then it was awesome.
Yeah.
It's definitely life-changing for anyone in the know.
Exactly, right? And hopefully somebody who's listening to this can go and, listen to it for the first time, because I wish I could listen to something for the first time like that, like, wish I could go back.
It'll be well
and,
worth it.
Yeah, hear it on my ears for the very first time. There's nothing like it. So, yeah, just a great catalog in a short period of time, though, too. But like, even you look at Waste and Tragedy by Dear Langle, it's 4 years, right? Like, that's a lot during the 90s and during the can rock phase that's rolling past you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they were, like you said, exactly what they needed to be at that time. So, yeah. Thanks, man. Thanks for picking this topic. This
is a great one. We've been talking about adding this to the list for eons.
Yeah, it's it's an important band, I guess, in Nicole and I's relationship. You know what I mean?
Right.
Too. It brought us together. It brought us together, from the very beginning, because it was like, hey man, if you like the Smalls, then you're cool. I consider you cool. So, and I still do. I still consider her cool because she loves the Smalls, and I love that she loves the Smalls, right? So, I just didn't like them as much as she did at the time, right? I was like, they're cool, but like, you're really into them, so that's cool too, right? So, but
you were way too into Edwin.
Oh yeah, I was loving Edwin. Loving Edwin, absolutely. Yeah. God bless him.
All right, we want you guys to subscribe, share, and review this podcast. Keep it going, keep it strong, because we're having a great time entertaining you guys with B-Sides and Beers podcast.